What is good, y'all? It's Ronald, also known as Youcapper at Sportsmemo.com. It is Let's Cap. We got Munaf and Chris in the building for today, Monday. Um, the weekend was pretty good. Last week altogether, what I think was a really good week, especially in the NBA. How was your guys' weekend, Chris? Let's start with you here.
Very, very great weekend, RC. Best weekend I probably done had since the season started. I wasn't like really on Twitter too much. I know we talked, a little bit in the group chat, but it was a really good weekend, man. Yesterday was good. Player props, sides, totals, spreads, everything. Weekend treated me really well. So I know we were together on Philly yesterday. Team total over, full game over.
Fred.
Talked about James Harden triple double. I took his rebounds plus assists, which cashed at halftime. Montrez points laddered all the way up to 20 at plus 650. It's a good weekend. Good weekend overall, I see.
Yeah, I wish I would have stopped on that game altogether because I think we kept the shit out of that game, and then and then I played was it Minnesota and Rockets over, and that kind of killed me. How was your weekend?
Yeah, it turned out pretty good as well. You guys know that we talked about the Sixers and the Pistons over on Sunday. I had the James Harden triple double at plus 750. That was nearly there by halftime almost. I think he was like one assist short at the half, but it was good to get that one. And there was another over that we were on. I think it was on Saturday. I forgot which game it was, but I think we hit that one as well. So it turned out to be a pretty good weekend. Hopefully we can continue that into the new week here.
Yeah, for sure. Especially, man, like we were just talking right before the show about the Seahawks. Hey, Joey, I just saw the chat message. If you want to pop in, you can. Um, the Seahawks, like I was at the game yesterday. I was going pretty crazy. So my throat is kind of jacked up. So we'll see how far I can get through the show without like coughing and all. So I got my tea, honey and my tea with me. So I'll be good. Well, today we got 6 games. I was saying earlier before the show, I only looked at 4 games. There's 2 games that I didn't really have any good angles on because I didn't really do any research on it. But maybe we can get into those first. Well, actually, you know what? Let's go into what you guys like first. What's one of your best looks today? Let's just get straight into that one, and then we'll get into the later 2 games later.
Yeah, I had a couple of player props that I did like. I know you and I were talking about the Knicks and Bucks game before we got on here, and the line is starting to move towards the Knicks direction. It actually already has. It was at pick earlier, starting to see some -1.5s pop up. Possibly is it the RJ Barrett news that I know he was listed doubtful earlier in the injury report for the New York Knicks, but I was actually liking the Bucks here tonight. Now this line movement has kind of got me nervous here. It is a matchup thing for me, right? Drew Holiday is playing here tonight for the Milwaukee Bucks. I think he's more than capable of slowing down Jalen Brunson. And the Bucks can also throw different bodies at Julius Randle to kind of, slow him down as well. He hasn't had great games this season against the Milwaukee Bucks. It's really been RJ Barrett in the 2 matchups earlier this season where he had, I think, 25 or 26 in one game. And they dropped 20 in another game against the Bucks. So, and I know Joey was talking about this in the chat as well, that the Bucks got absolutely blasted by the Charlotte Hornets in their last game, so they possibly want to get that bad taste out of their mouth and come into Madison Square Garden, where, one of my co-hosts likes to say that everybody wants to play like Michael Jordan when they get to Madison Square Garden, just because it is the Mecca. So I was leaning towards the Bucks here. I wanted to get your thoughts on this game from both you and Chris.
Yeah, shout out to Joey. He just joined us today. One thing that from a prop perspective, one thing I was just on the triple double show, and Moneyline Matt, my partner, talked about Giannis points and rebounds, and one thing he mentioned was following a loss like that, usually the star player would want to come out pretty strong. So while he was talking, I pulled up this stat. Giannis, after the Bucks lose by 20 in the last 3 games, he put up 55 points, 45 points, and 42 alone. That's just points. And his PNR today is 43.5. So that's the way that I was like, man, I don't play props, you know what I mean? But I was like, well, when he was talking and I looked at that and I shared that information with him, I was like, yeah, I'm about to get on this Giannis PNR. I don't even play props like that, but that's the way that I would probably go would lean with him on this Giannis PNR. As far as a side or total perspective, this one was tough just because for me, is it even working? When I was doing research yesterday, the Bucks were the favorites, right? So
Right.
a lot of the research that I looked at last night was the Bucks as favorites, the Knicks as dogs. But for the most part, I think if we were looking at other situational things, just coming off of a loss, I think the Bucks do well off losses, and then the Knicks. I think what I was looking at as revenge games, they also do well in revenge games. 3 straight up, 7-2 and 1 ATS in season revenge. I'll put that up right now. So, like, I guess to me, it was just pointing in two opposite directions, right? But for the most part, I feel like this might be the Bucks maybe early. I would think they would want to bounce back strong off of that loss. But then the Knicks also have motivation to win this game in a conference game, where they've already lost to the Bucks twice, right? So yeah, I would say it would be Bucks early, Knicks maybe the full game. I just don't know if I can put my money on it other than that Giannis prop. What are your thoughts, Chris?
Similar thoughts, RC. I think for me, what sticks out is current form. I feel like the Knicks are in better current form, right? Like the Knicks have been pretty much, they've been balling. They haven't covered all those spreads. But they've been winning games. And I think another thing, just to take it a little bit farther, what you had looked at, RC, and something I had looked at as well. When you look at the Knicks, when they're avenging same season losses and they're at home, they're actually 4-5-2 straight up, 4-2-1 against the spread as well. Winning those, winning and covering those games and really holding their opponents under their team total. I think from the you guys both mentioned the Bucks early in this one to kind of get that bad taste out of their mouth, and I think that's the normal way to look. But the Knicks are one of the better first half teams, right?
Yeah.
Like they absolutely dominate. So for me, that's enough to kind of stay off. If I was going to play this one, I think I would want to look towards any team that just got any team with the Bucks caliber that just got manhandled the way that they gave up 51 points to the Charlotte Hornets in the first quarter, and Charlotte never looked back in that game. And that game was in Milwaukee on Friday night, so you've had 2 days to kind of let that salivate. I think that they come out with a lot of energy and effort, but like I said, the Knicks are probably the best. I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but I'm pretty sure the Knicks are either the first or second best first quarter team. So nothing for me in this one. Honestly, I can kind of see it going both ways. I do think that maybe an under is in play, right? The Knicks have been winning with defense. Yeah. When they revenging losses at home, RC, 7 games, they've only allowed 99 points. We know that the Bucks, when they're in their best form, their defense is also really good on the road. So I think that we could look maybe to a first quarter or first half under in that spot. That kind of makes sense, the way we're talking it out.
Yeah, it does. I was looking at the Bucks on the road because I know early on in the season they were really strong defensively on the road. So you see a lot of these under. Sudden you see these overs here, and it probably had to do with them like sort of adjusting the line a little bit, right? And then now you hit 2 straight games where this game went under in regulation, and then this game went under even into OT. Maybe they get back into their defensive ways. Well, I mean, Joey, you're the Bucks guy. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah. You can hear me good?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. What's going on with y'all? Sorry, I popped in a little late.
It's good.
So, yeah, like Munaf had mentioned, I originally threw in there. I was interested in Bucks first quarter, specifically leaving out the first half just because the Knicks track record with that. But if you look at what we were talking about with the double revenge angles, the last one that I remember is when they played the Hawks. They had a great first half, then they just laid an egg in the second half. But then that second game around, they pounced on the Hawks early, and it just seems to be a common theme with the Knicks and how they operate. So I've decided to stay off a side as well, just like you, RC. And to back up what you were saying, when our guy Mitch dropped it in the chat last night, where Giannis's points plus rebounds were sitting at, Giannis loves to play in the Garden. You look at his game logs in Madison Square Garden. Last time out, 37 points, 13 rebounds, 7 assists. In the last few games, he falls a couple assists short of the triple-double. So it's even better that you're looking at points and rebounds, because I think with the assists in the current form in Milwaukee, you're actually losing value. So points plus rebounds, I love it. love it. I'll be on it as well. Giannis points plus rebounds over 43.5. I don't see anyone defending him points wise, and we know he's going to grab his boards regardless because he's the biggest person on the floor. So I love that look right there. So whether Milwaukee's going to get into shape or not doesn't matter. Just going to solely focus on Giannis here.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. The other thing, so I looked at Giannis on the road against the Knicks, the most recent game, 37 points, 13 rebounds. Some of these other games here didn't go over the total that we're talking about, but for the most part, I can't really see the game log or whatever. But for the most part, I wouldn't assume that they're coming off of a bad loss, or like as bad as it was against the Hornets. So as far as motivation, I would think that Giannis would come out there and put up a good show in New York. So I think, I mean, for me overall, I would just say I'm not going to play the side or the total in this one. I would lean towards Bucks early and then the Knicks a full game, and also maybe to the under to Chris's point. But for the most part, I'm probably just going to rock with that Giannis points and rebounds there. Any last comments from you guys before we move on to the next one?
Yeah, RC, is there a way for you to look up the last 10 head-to-head matchups between these two? Because I'm manually writing it down right now that the Bucks have dominated the first quarter in the last 10 matchups. I'm up to, I think, about 8 games where they've won each of the last 10 games of first quarter. They've won by a minimum of 2 points. Have the Milwaukee Bucks.
You want to let's go back to 2018?
Yeah, you can go back that far if you want.
Bucks 12-4 straight up, 10-4-2 ATS, 9-6-1 to the under. First quarter, first half. First quarter is the biggest margin there, 29.9 points for the Bucks, 24.4 for the Knicks. 5 straight wins here, 4 straight covers, and then a push there. Maybe let's look at these here and then see how that first quarter has been. At least for the last 5 games. 2021. All right. Average first quarter margin about 6.4.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
I'm trying to find the first quarter line. Let me see.
Knicks.
I'm not sure if I'm repeating what Munaf is saying, but yeah, the 2 games this year, the Bucks won each first quarter, and then even going back to the prior seasons, they're on somewhat of a trend of being the Knicks in the first quarter every time. I'm 5 games back right now, and they're smoking them in the first quarter.
Yeah. Is that the way you're looking, Munaf, that first quarter?
Yeah, I think I know. I said I like Bucks full game, but I might just shrink this down to first quarter just because over the last 10 games, at least what I've written down, they're 9-1 straight up, and I think at least 9-1 against the spread as well in that first quarter. And what Joey mentioned, coming off that Hornets game where it was just an atrocious defensive effort. Giannis, you put the numbers out there that after a loss, he's dominating, and like Joey mentioned, being in Madison Square Garden, Giannis dominates. So I would expect the Bucks to come out here and play well. So I'm looking at first quarter. If you want to go +0.5, or just take the money line right now, I'm seeing around even money or -110.
Yeah, I'm with him. I'm with him too. I'm with you on that, Mona. I'll get there. That was the initial lean. Yep. I feel confident with it.
Not to throw a wrench or whatever, but so I was just kind of looking through. So Bucks off of a loss at home, they're 4-0 straight up, 4-0 ATS, but that first quarter margin isn't that great. But in the full game, they are covering.
Third quarter, RC is what jumps out to me, 31-23.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different situational spots, right? Like we're looking at Bucks and Knicks all together. Obviously, that first quarter there looks pretty good, and the only way that I could look would probably be the Bucks, but I don't know if I'm gonna put my money on this one on a side or a total.
RC, real quick, while you looking at that, let's look at the Knicks off a previous away win, and then now they're back at home.
And they've just been good in the first quarter and first half in general.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah.
That's
I know we talked about it a lot. Like you see the first quarter, like the first half, they're averaging 59 points, and then the second half they're only averaging 52.
Yeah.
Probably like the Dallas game that was a couple of weeks ago where they were
right, you know.
Last one before we move on. Bobby Portis double at plus 175. 2 matchups this season. He's had a double in both of those games, 25 minutes each, 10 points, 12 rebounds, and 12 points, 12 rebounds. And if you don't want to take that double, his rebounds are sitting at 8.5 for tonight. He's had a double against the Knicks in 3 out of the last 4 games.
Yeah,
not that they excuse it or anything either, but the Knicks, their last few opponents, I mean, to me, not really respectable matchups. They played the Raptors in the form that they were in, Spurs, Suns, Rockets, Spurs. And I know one of those Spurs games they for sure failed to cover.
Yeah. Now I'm looking at these home favorite situations versus conference opponents. That's a good call out, Joey, because look at these wins are against the Pistons, Magic. Then you got the Hawks here, and then the Pistons again. They only pushed on that. And then you face the Bulls and the Raptors. They lost both of those. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not gonna play this game, but it would just be the Bucks for me if I was to. All right, well, let's move on to the next one. Oh yeah, Munaf, you probably answered his question. Bobby Portis double.
Yeah, plus 175. I like it.
Yeah. All right, let's go to what's the next one? Chris, what was one of your looks that you want to take a look at today?
The Bulls.
All right. Let's move on to the Bulls here. Bulls Sixers. All right, I talked about this one on Triple Double. Maybe you're going to talk about a lot of the same stuff, but let's hear what you got to say about this one.
Yeah, I see. So I think it's situational spot, man. I know we were on them on Friday. Not a team that I back. I like to preference it by saying that. This will be the third time that I've placed my hard-earned money on the Bulls today. But I think I like the spot for them. I see. I think the first thing that kind of jumps out to me is going right back to what we mentioned on Friday. They're an away dog in a conference game. So first thing you can pull up if you want to look at that. Away conference dog, RC. Away conference dog.
Yep. 9-2-1 ATS, 7-5 straight up against conference opponents as road dogs. Yep. This one's that Mitchell game.
Right. Where he had 71 points and then went to overtime. Right. Yep. Also, just in really good form right now. See, I know we talked about it the other day. They're winning games that we don't expect them to win. They won that game on Friday. We took them plus the 4.5. They won that game outright. And Philly come home on the second night of a back-to-back and beat the Chicago Bulls as well in a game that they trailed early in as well. So opposite side. So they're just in really good form right now. 7-3 straight up. Last 10, 8-2 against the spread. I got them also at 3-0 ATS versus the Celtics already this season. With two outright wins and a 4-point loss to Boston. So they've played Boston well this season.
Yeah, they 3-0 ATS there, covered by pretty good margin on 2 of them. This one was tight on the road. They're on the road again here. One thing I wanted to add, because you were talking about recent form, just real quick. Celtics 24th in defensive rating last 5 games, and then the Bulls 4th, 119.4. Their offensive rating in the last 5 games. So really on the one way that I was looking at it, Chris, I don't know if you're going to get to that point, but it was the Bulls team total over.
Yep.
One thing that I want to mention before we get some notes from Munaf and Joey here, the Bulls, sorry, was it Celtics maybe? Sorry, Celtics. And Celtics off a road trip. That's what it was.
That's what I was going. That was the next thing I was going to tell you. I see.
So Celtics off at least a 2-game road trip, 4-0 to the over. But if you look at the opponents, they're going over their team total. And if you even look at just who the opponents are, you're looking at Magic, Pistons here, 2 teams that you would think would be lesser opponents than the Bulls, I feel like the Bulls here should be able to get over their team total from that point. I mean, that's the only way that I could look in this one. The only reason why I want to stay away from the spread of the Bulls is just because they've already covered all 3 games against the Celtics. I just don't know how much. I don't know how much the Celtics are going to look at this game as far as like conference opponents and stuff like that. So I wasn't too sure. 8.5 seems like a lot. I could only look towards the Bulls, but I feel like I'm just a little bit more confident with the Bulls team total over. Munaf, did you have anything to add on this game?
Yeah, I think the only one thing that makes me nervous about backing the Bulls here tonight is their 3-point defense has not been very good over the course of the season, and especially over the last 10 games. And we know, at least early on in the season, where the Boston Celtics were knocking down those 3-point shots, they've regressed back kind of to the mean over the past couple of weeks. But Chicago, over the last 10 games, they're number 28 out of 30 teams in opponent 3-point makes allowed, around 14.4. They're also allowing the attempts as well, which ranks number 28 at about 40.2. But as far as percentage, they're not too bad. They're still below league average. So I think this may be a game where Boston can get back on track, at least making their 3-point shots here. So if you want to take a look at some 3-point props. But for the Bulls, I think I agree with what you guys are saying, that last season for the Bulls, they were just having a hard time against some of the better teams at covering spreads or winning games. But this season's been the complete opposite. They've been playing well against some of the better teams in the Eastern Conference, where they're winning the game outright or they're actually covering the spread. And like you mentioned, 3-0 so far this season against the Boston Celtics against the spread, and 2-1 straight up. So I would only look at the the Chicago side as well.
That's a good point. Joey, did you have anything to add on this one?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with what Chris is looking to play, and I agree on the over, just Boston at home. But to put it into perspective, what Munaf just said, not even against the spread, I believe it's up to the Bulls are just 9-1 against Brooklyn, Boston, Milwaukee, and Miami.
Philly, I think.
Philly.
And if you had the Sixers in there too.
Yep.
Yeah, one thing that I just brought up. So I know Chris mentioned earlier road dogs in conference games, and I look at the larger line. So when they're dogs of 5 or more, 6-0 ATS, 5-1 to the over, 5-1 to the over, and the team total as well. So it continues to look in that direction here. And Celtics was actually part of that right here. Celtics were already in that game, in that situation. So for me, like I said earlier, the Bulls team total over is the way that I will go in this one.
I think that Boston game was a game where I think DeRozan went off for like 46 in that game as well.
Yeah, I believe that's right. Yeah, correct. Yep. Where is it? There's another thing that I was looking at.
I had two more things too. So you look
ahead.
like you're in my notes, so you probably about to say what I'm going to say.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. What do you guys say?
So Boston 8-2 to the over RC when they're a home favorite, having to win the game by 8 points or less. So if you just look at the Celtics, because I know we've been focusing a lot on the Bulls side, but if you look at the Celtics when they're home favorite, and it's a line where they're just having to win by 8 or less.
8-2 to the over.
Mm-hmm. But specifically team totals, RC. Like I think I counted 7 out of the 10 opponents went over their team total in that spot.
Greater than or equal to -8. Why are they not on the list? Hold on. That's right. Home favorite.
Yeah, that's right.
Line greater than or equal to -8. What's the line right now?
8.5.
Oh, 8.5. Okay, that's probably what it is. Oh, so you're saying favored by 8? Sorry, I was looking at the. My bad. When you said greater than, I just put the line greater than. Okay, so 8.5. This is this right, Chris?
No, I think you had it right the first time. We just need to add the 8.5 because we had 8 in there.
Oh, 8.5.
Yeah, and then take the lesser than and put it back to greater than. I think it should be right.
Gotcha. Okay, there it is.
There we go. Yeah, so 8-2 to the over in that spot. RC, I think 7 of their 10 opponents have gone over their team total.
Gotcha. Yeah. 7-3 over the team total, and this one missed by a little bit, basically by the hook or 1 point there. This one.
But yeah, Boston also just doing really good in conference games. RC at home. I got them 10-3 to the over in home conference games. For their last 5 opponents have gone over their team total, and that's by 2.
Gotcha. I like it. Yeah, that would be the only way that I go. Joey, did you say anything on this game?
No, I was just giving the record for the Bulls. I'm staying off of it, but I agree with the looks.
Gotcha. What? Okay, let's go to you then. What's one of your best bets for today? We'll look at that one.
Let's go over to the Memphis game.
Got it. Yeah, this is the one that I haven't really looked at yet, so I'm gonna be learning today. What do you got going on this game?
Yeah, I'm interested in the Spurs, just simply off of. I feel like I've watched every game of theirs every time that they play. I usually have action on it, but you look at the last couple of games that they've played, it's been a 1 bucket spread, and now you've got the Grizzlies who are playing around with the injury report right now. They just listed, I believe, 3 or 4 guys as questionable. I solely believe that 11.5 is not. I don't think that that's shown enough respect to the Spurs, despite what form that they're in this season with tanking and trying to lose and all that. They've been playing pretty competitive games. We just saw what they did versus Boston when Boston was laying the same figure. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to pull up Spurs as double-digit underdogs, something of that nature, if you want to put some new numbers on the screen. But I solely believe it's too many points for this Grizzlies team to cover today, especially with how well that the Spurs always seem to play the Grizzlies. So the last few games, it's been 2 points, 1 point, 13, 8, 13, 4. So it's a little bit of variance, but they seem to play the Grizzlies very, very well.
Yeah, I just pulled up Spurs as double-digit dogs here. 2-5 straight up, 4-3 ATS. They did cover the last three of the last 4 games as double-digit dogs. Interesting thing is four straight went over. Chris or Munaf, did you guys have anything on this one?
I was just curious to see if Ja Morant was going to play. I know, like literally right before we got on, they got some injury news about guys. I think Brandon Clark has been ruled out with the illness, and then Steven Adams and Ja Morant are both questionable here tonight still. But if you kind of take a look at what Ja Morant has done against the Spurs, at least over the last 4 games, he's had 30, 41, 52, and 32. So I'd be curious to see what his point prop comes out if he is ruled in here tonight. We talked a lot about Spurs, how they are the worst defensive rated team on the road so far this year. So I was leaning towards the over in this game, whether it was a Grizzlies team total over or a full game over. I think kind of laid it out there, RC, that with the Spurs being double-digit underdogs, the team or the totals tend to go over. So that was the one way I was looking at it: either Ja Morant points prop or the full game over.
Ja Morant points prop or full game over. Yeah, that's So it was 4-0 to the over the last 4 double-digit dog situations, and then I pulled up the Grizzlies here as double-digit favorites, and they're the opposite though. That's the problem there because their last 2 went under as double-digit favorites. Yeah, this one's tough. I mean, they didn't cover this one here against the Thunder, but this was on the road. They actually lost that one outright. The 2 home games as double-digit favorites, they covered. So they covered this one, and then they pushed on this one here. And both of these were non-conference. Chris, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think no numbers aside, RC, going to back at what Munaf was saying about the over. I think when you're watching these games, I know Joy mentioned it, but I'm watching the Spurs play a lot recently too. I think a lot of the times teams just aren't necessarily taking them serious because they know that they can, just try to outscore them. Like we're not worried about covering spreads specifically. We're more so worried about just outscoring the opponent. I think that's the same trap that Boston kind of fell in, and then the game got really close late. And they, barely won that game. So I think San Antonio is scoring more points than they're projected to. And that was one of the things that I looked at. Actually, I don't know if you got it pulled up. The EV analytics, if you go to team totals, the Spurs are being underpriced by the market because they're not supposed to be scoring as many points as they are. But they've literally been scoring, I think team totals at the bottom, RC. They if you look at last 10 games, the Spurs have gone over their team total. So that would only bode well for what Munaf is saying, because we know that Memphis can come out here and score the ball. But if you look at the Spurs specifically, they've been able to go over their team total, RC.
Yeah, last 10 for sure.
Yeah,
Just
Just hit the over, RC. Yeah,
8-2.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Does it matter if they're at home or road?
I mean, you could check it.
I think it's slightly worse on the road.
Yeah, 5-5 versus
5-5.
8. Yeah.
And they're in Memphis, right?
And Memphis on second night of a back-to-back.
That could only make me look at the over as well.
Real quick, I just want to shout out the chat there. I don't know how to say what his username is, but
Pro 100.
Yeah,
I looked at that too. I see that's a crazy.
He just dropped the trend here that's 0-8 ATS to fade the Celtics and play the Bulls. So shout out to him for dropping some queries. And that's just another note to the chat. Drop your plays, drop your queries, drop any trends that you want. It just helps us all get a little bit better.
One more point to add about just how well that the Spurs have been playing the Grizzlies. You look at just their last games, they had a 5-point loss to Boston, but if you watched it, I mean, I really don't think that they were trying to win at the end. A couple questionable play calls, but they beat the Pistons pretty bad. I know it's the Pistons, but another team that they play well, the New York Knicks, they lost by 3 the last time out, but before that game, they beat the Knicks by 7, and again, they scored 122 points. They lost to the Mavericks by 1 point. That was that Luka Magic game. They scored 125. I know it did go into overtime, but I think that was great wording what Chris said about teams not respecting the Spurs. I think they go out and they just chalk it up as an automatic win, and sometimes they catch you sleeping. So I really like the Spurs plus 11.5, and to be honest, I think I might sprinkle a little bit on the money line. I feel like they're due for a win versus Memphis. As crazy as that sounds, they could lose by 30, but I like San Antonio today.
What do you think about Spurs early instead of the full game?
I took a look at the first half just because, again, going back to watching them, what they did versus the Pistons, what they did versus Boston. They came out and they covered that first quarter, and the second quarter wasn't so great. So I'm interested to see what the scoring margins are per quarter, because I didn't fully look into that. I was still trying to cover some of the other games, but first half crossed my mind. Maybe first quarter is a better look. But
so we have here. All right, so let me get this set up here. So we have Grizzlies. X equals 0. So Grizzlies on the second leg of back-to-back games, they're actually losing that first quarter on average. And actually the first half in general, I think they're down about 2 points or so on average in these games here. And then if we go to Spurs and they're playing a team that is on the second leg of back-to-back games, they're actually winning that first quarter on average and only down by like about 2 or 2.5 points there. And that would be able to cover that Grizzlies 11.5 full game. I mean, sorry, whatever the full the half line is, probably like what 6.5 or something.
Probably 3.5 and 6.5 quarters.
Yeah, I see 6.5 for first half for Grizzlies.
Right, got it. And then we go to Grizzlies and line less than or equal to -10. There again, I think the margin. So that's 7 points there, and then you have 3.4, so about 3.5. So that would also cover the 6.5 line. So if we look at the Spurs, greater than equal to 10. Yeah, they fucked it up. So never mind. Well, yeah, they're losing that first half by a lot.
I see. Can you go back? Can you go back 3?
And then go back 3. What do you mean?
Just go back 3. Just hit the back button 3 times. I was looking at the Spurs team total for the first half over. It's 54. It's 57.5. They got this game being a very high-paced scoring game. The Grizzlies anticipated to score 65 first half points, and San Antonio to score 57.5. And a couple of those numbers that you had pulled actually had San Antonio scoring about 58 points in the first half. So that's what I just wanted to check real quick to see what this number was. But you can keep going.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have anything else on this game, but anyone, I mean, just based off of this, it's probably something I'll probably stay away from.
Yeah,
Did you
real
guys have
quick in the chat. I see one more thing, real quick in
Yeah.
the chat. Markel said he leaned Jared Jackson Jr. blocks. I just went and looked at that. Jared Jackson Jr. actually has 5, 3, 3, 3, 6 blocks in his last 5 games. So I don't know what his blocks number is sitting at, but it's probably about 2.5. That seems like is a pretty good play against the San Antonio team that turns the ball over and gets the shot block a lot.
Gotcha. Yeah, you would think Jared Jackson blocks is probably like over 3.5 at this point. Say no. Anything else before we move on to the next one? No. Okay. The other one I want to look at is what's the last game on the shit, I didn't even write it down.
Lakers, Kings.
Lakers,
Nuggets.
Oh, sorry, Lakers.
Or was it Kings second?
Last one is Kings Magic.
Yeah,
Kings
Magic Kings.
All right, let's do Lakers Nuggets first, and then we'll do Kings Magic. Anyone else? Anyone have anything on this Lakers Nuggets?
I think before we even get into it, LeBron did come out as questionable, like maybe 5-10 minutes ago for this game, but
Gotcha.
yeah, I think it's probably the formula of Lakers early and then Denver probably full game. Lakers have been playing well in the first halves. They are in altitude, maybe they gas out a little bit, or at least LeBron does, and eventually the Nuggets pull away. But I mean, gun to my head, I think I would probably just be on Lakers first half, obviously waiting for the news of LeBron here tonight.
Yeah, for me, I was looking at the Nuggets on the full game.
Yeah.
And so first thing was maybe I'll just run this through. So Lakers and double-digit line. So when I looked at this 0-2 straight up, 0-2 ATS, I looked at both of these games. LeBron and AD were out. So that's interesting to note that you just mentioned LeBron questionable, being downgraded to questionable, because that's going to impact this game a lot. You can see that big average here, basically 20-point losses. I mean, on average. So 26 here and a 13-point loss here. So if LeBron is out, I'm definitely going to look towards the Nuggets way, regardless of whatever the line might be afterwards, just because. And then both of them went over. Some of the things that I was looking at, other than just double-digit line, this is road dogs versus conference opponents. 1-9 straight up, 1-9 ATS. They did cover the last one against the Kings here. But I would think that in this situation, I think the interior, I think obviously Jokic is probably going to be a much bigger impact than Sabonis was in that game, as far as on from just a whole level of both offensively and defensively, I think, in my opinion. So this trend here points towards the Nuggets. This one's also a double-digit margin here on the full game. And then another way that I was looking at it was towards the Nugget side. And I think on this show, I probably talked about this a lot, about how the Nuggets struggle in travel situations. Like, if say we go from PA to H, right? 5 and 6 ATS in that spot, not covering at a high rate. But if we go to a situation where they actually go back-to-back home games, so there's no travel involved, there ain't no straight up 7-1 ATS there. And then the average margin is about 13 points. So when they stay home, they get comfortable and they do well on both sides of the ball, both offensively and defensively. So that's the way that I was going to look at this one, is towards the Nuggets for the most part. Obviously, LeBron getting downgraded to questionable is going to impact it somewhat, but maybe it would just be take it now. I don't know if obviously the -10 has moved while he's already been kind of, I would say he's like listed in. Now with it questionable, it'll probably move away, right? So you would probably want to get it now if you want the Nuggets and not wait, because it'll go to like 12, 13 or whatever it might be if LeBron is officially out. Go ahead.
I was just saying it's at 11 right now.
Okay.
11.5 now.
Yeah, that's tough. But I would still look that way.
Yeah.
Home favorite conference games, 10-1 straight up, 7-4 ATS, average margin there about 13 as well. So there's no way that I could look other than the Nuggets full game. Did you guys have anything here to add?
Lakers money line for me, RC. It's like, no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. No, actually, I think just to back your point, the Lakers have been playing, a little out of their mind. I know they're 4-0 since the new year started. But if you look at the Nuggets when they having to cover these big spreads, RC, they've actually done pretty well. I think I got them at 4-2 against the spread, covering 9.5 point lines or more. So, I know you talked about the Lakers, kind of fading in that spot, but also a spot for Denver. And we talked on Friday about the Nuggets and the Cavs game. And one of the things that I looked at was the Nuggets off of a previous home game. I think this is like their third home game now. So they're a lot more rested. Lakers, super fatigue spot. And they're, just playing out of their mind right now. Westbrook had a 20-point, 15-assist game, which was only the second in NBA history the other day. Dennis Schroeder shooting the ball really, really well. And Thomas Bryant has been playing well on the inside as well. But none of that means anything when you get this Denver Nuggets team that plays a lot better defense at home and has Jokic that nobody in the NBA can seem to stop right now. So I would only be able to look the same way, RC. And I don't know if we get off of that and maybe we jump on some team totals, but I haven't figured out how I want to play that game. But I definitely want some action in that game. Fading my Lakers.
Yeah, I don't know. I was looking at the team total too, but a lot of the things on the Lakers side would say over, but some of the things for me on the Nuggets side actually say under. But I just want to add on to, so you mentioned the double digit or like heavy favorites. So I looked at double digit favorites for the Nuggets, 5-1 straight up, 4-2 ATS. And then if we go, if they're coming off of a home game, they're 2-0 straight up, 2-0 ATS, which is like what I was mentioning, right? If they're not coming off travel, they play really well in that spot. And the average margin is 16.5. Dude, look at that first quarter. But then if you say they're coming off of a road game, then it goes to 2-2 ATS. The average margin is only 11. So I like the fact that they're staying home for multiple games in a row. And then maybe even that first quarter would be a good look for the Nuggets as well.
A lot of teams, RC, I heard, I forgot who talked about it the other day, but a lot of teams talked about that. Oh, I know who it was. It was Reggie Jackson in the game where they got smacked up. The Clippers got smacked up last week against the same Denver Nuggets team, talked about that altitude and teams taking it still continues to take a while. He said it doesn't really matter, how long you've been in the league. It takes a while to get adjusted, typically like a quarter, which is why Denver typically smacks teams in the first quarter, to getting adjusted to being able to play in that altitude. One thing that you didn't mention, RC, was looking at the Nuggets. This is double revenge. The Lakers beat them twice this season. So revenge and same season losses. At home specifically, this team is 2-0 straight up and 2-0 against the spread, winning by an average of 14 points. Got the Jazz and got the Celtics already.
Yeah, man, that's a good point there too. For Joey, anything to add on this one?
Yeah, I was gonna talk about the double revenge angle that Chris just mentioned. That's the only way I could look. I said it in the chat earlier. I love the Nuggets today. I just feel a bit priced out. The only play that I could make would be in that first quarter. We know what the Nuggets do with Jokic in the first quarter. He typically plays the whole damn thing. So that's the only way I could look. Be winning by a couple buckets after one. I might get there. I don't know. I know the Lakers are on a 5-game winning streak. I don't necessarily want to get in the way of it, but this doesn't seem like the best spot for the Lakers.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Have anything to add on this one?
I was just looking at Thomas Bryant player props as usual. They're off right now, but before the LeBron questionable news came out, he was at 8.5 for his rebounds, and double was at plus 120. Last 5 games for the Lakers, he's averaging. Let me see here. 21.2 points, 13.6 rebounds, around 32 minutes per game. Prior matchup against the Denver Nuggets, he did come off the bench. Anthony Davis, I believe, was in the lineup at that point against the Nuggets. But Thomas Bryant had 21 points in that game, 6 rebounds. And he's had, if you just look at his numbers, he's just been dominating. He's had a double-double in 4 of the last 5 games for the Lakers. He was 1 rebound away from the Miami Heat making it 5 straight double doubles. So once that number does pop back up, I will be on Thomas Bryant props. The one thing that does concern me, that foul trouble could be an issue if he is going to be guarding the Joker here tonight. But even if it's a blowout, I think that he'll still be in that game. Just because they're down bodies right now.
Yeah,
specifically, sorry, one more thing. Specifically, when you've got the Nuggets who have just been sitting at home, whether it's the second game or the third game, or the third game, they're winning all those games by double digits. They beat Portland by 13. Second game at home, they beat the Rockets by 20. Second game at home versus the Jazz, they beat them by 16. So it seems like they get really comfortable when they're at home. For what that is worth.
Yeah.
Most recently, they beat the Cavs by 13. So this will be their third one in a row at home. Maybe they're just in a groove. So I can only look at Nuggets as expensive as it is.
Yeah. All right. So I'm looking here. As long as they played if it's at least their second game at home in a row. I think I showed this one earlier. I'm not 100% sure, but 8-0 straight up, 7-1 ATS. Only one they didn't cover was against the Suns on Christmas Day. Right there, that one went into OT. But other than that, they've pretty much been dominating at home in that spot. At least the second game at home, and like you mentioned, all of them by double digits. So at 11, probably not priced out yet. At 11 minus 11, but if you want it, you probably want to get it now. All right, so let's do one more because I gotta cut out right at noon. The last one would be you guys got anything on Magic Kings?
No. I mean, if you want the referee angle, Scott Foster's on the game, and we talked about it last week, where he's just had home teams are really good against the spread in his games. They're 20-5 against the spread, 21-4 straight up this season.
On the home team?
Yeah, home team.
This is the latest game the Magic have ever played.
7:30? Is it 7:30?
Yeah, I believe for you, yeah.
Gotcha. Mitch, you hopped on. Is this a game that you like?
Yeah.
Mitch? Is he?
Guys, hear me now?
Yeah, I got you.
Sorry,
is this a
guys.
game that you like? You hopped on here on the Kings Magic. Oh no, probably not.
Okay, there we go. Perfect.
You good?
Right.
You hear me?
I got on the Wizards. I can't hear y'all, but I'm just gonna spit what I got. I tweeted this out a little bit earlier. I was looking over the stats for Wizards and New Orleans. So New Orleans on 1 day's rest, they're 15-10 to the over. They're 8-2 to the over as an away dog. They're 13-5 as an away team, but that correlates. 9-5 to the over in a non-conference game. New Orleans has given up 118 versus 109 on the road versus at home. And their away points per game is 117, which is first in the league. Next, we go to Washington. We got 9-6-1 over in non-conference games. We've got 7-2 to the over with rest advantage. Also correlates 6-2 to the over with 2 to 3 days off. But if you're gonna have 2 or 3 days off, you're gonna have rest advantage most likely. And 10-7 to the over at home. I was able to get this at 227.5. I played the over this morning. Since I can't even hear you guys and stuff, I'm just gonna pop right off and see what you guys got to say about
that. You're good. All right. Well, with that, let's just say I'm also on the over in this one. I got 228 here. I know it went down to 227.5 for like a quick, like maybe 30 minutes, and then it'll pop back up. But I got a lot of the things that what Mitch just mentioned. So this one I just pulled up, non-conference home game, 7-1 to the over. You can see it's at 228.5. We're averaging up around 232 there, or 231 to 232. And then if we go to the Pelican side here, we go so 8-2 to the over as road dogs. You can see the average up over 230 as well. And then if we say non-conference, We go 3-0 to the over there, up to 238-ish average there. This one obviously went into OT. That one probably stayed under in regulation, but for the most part, a lot of things to me pointing to the over in that one. Anyone got anything to add on this game on a side perspective or total?
No, I don't think I can argue against what Mitch presented there. Yeah, I mean, I don't have much else for this game.
Yeah, Chris.
I see.
Anything?
No, I'm with you guys on the over. I didn't play it, but one of the ways that one thing I had looked at RC was, the Wizards coming off a road trip of 7 days or more. So I looked at the Wizards off 2 road games in their first game back home.
Got it. 5-0 to the over. So they're them the ones who's doing most of the damage there, right?
Yep, and I mean I think it goes like what Mitch was saying. It goes in perfect conjunction because the Pelicans are a really strong defensive team at home. On the road, their defense typically doesn't come to play. So I see them being able to score points, and I also see the Wizards being able to score points in this game as well. No, it really doesn't matter if Zion isn't in the lineup. I looked at that as well.
6-5 to the over there, for the most part. And then if you look at
away games specifically,
on the road,
I think it's 3-0.
3-0 to the over.
Yeah, 3-0. Yeah.
We know. So one thing that I know with one thing that I know with the Pelicans, their defense is really good at home, and then their defense struggles on the road for the most part. So if we're looking at home road splits, opponent team total overs are typically the way to go. But from what I've seen, Pelicans are able to put up a good amount of points even without Zion and Ingram. As long as CJ is in, that would be the most important piece. Is CJ to be able to be active in the game. So I like the over.
I think just one more thing I see. I think the books kind of over adjust to not having Zion in the lineup, right? Like not having Zion.
Yeah, it's like they're saying, "Oh, we're gonna miss a lot of offense," but you forget that he's very strong defensively. Like he's very physical on the defensive side of the ball. That affects a lot of the. I mean, I feel like he can guard like the 4s and the 3s pretty well. Even though he's not like height wise, he's not there. He's just strong physically and able to push back against post players and stuff like that. So he does make an impact on the defensive side of the ball. Ingram does too. He's super lengthy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Well, with that said, I think that would be it, guys. I think we went through pretty much every game on the board. So let's do real quick. Let's just do recaps real quick. Let me take this out. Let's go with Muna first. What do you want to drop for the viewers here?
Yeah, I'll go with some player props here tonight. Love the Giannis look here tonight. Points and rebounds. I see that number at 43.5 at -130. I like his rebounds over 11.5 as well. And then once the Thomas Bryant player props pull back up, I love his over 8.5 rebounds and his double at +120 as well.
Yes, sir. All right. Let's go with Joey. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm gonna put in that Bucks first quarter. I'm with
Bucks
you guys
first quarter
on
too.
The Giannis points and rebounds. And give me the Spurs, man. Give me 11.5. I'm gonna
Good luck, Joey.
I'm gonna put on my DeJounte Murray Fiesta jersey later, man. It's Spurs City today.
All right. I wish you luck on that one. I don't want to touch that game.
Hopefully they don't need DeJounte, Joy, because they ain't got him tonight.
I know.
Chris, what you got?
Going back to the Celtics and the Bulls game, I say give me the Bulls team total over the 113.5, like we talked about earlier with all the trends that we showed.
Yes, sir. All right. So for me, these are the ways that I'm looking. Giannis over the points and rebounds, 43.5. The Nuggets first quarter or full game. I haven't put those in yet, but I'm gonna look at that Nuggets pretty hard after the show. Bulls team total over 113.5, and then the Wizards Pelicans over 228 are the two that I've actually put in already so far. With that said, that's the end of the show, guys. Good one today. I think we pretty much went through every game except for that Kings one. I don't think we really had any angles on it anyways. With that said, make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe button before you guys go. Shout out to Munov, Joey, Chris, and Mitch for popping in there for a real quick second. I always want to end with this, guys. Whether you fade us or follow us, it is on you guys to make that call. Good luck on all your action. Till next time, peace.